During the past 60 years or so, we have seen the development of feminism, the gay liberation movement, racial integration in countries where it hadn't existed before, and improvements in facilities and opportunities for disabled people, plus an increased concern for human rights. There has been a move towards greater social inclusion and social equality, with the parallel erosion of patriarchy. I think that this partly explains the dog worship phenomenon. It too has developed and grown during the same time period. Interested parties have piggybacked on these social movements and have managed to extend the human rights, privileges, and freedoms gained onto one species of animal and one species only. Step one was to persuade consumers that dogs were an essential element of the family unit. Step two was to persuade people that dogs were family members. And step three was to persuade them that dogs should be granted human entitlements because they were family members. Once dogs were subsumed into the broad umbrella of liberation politics, any disagreement could be sanctimoniously dismissed as reactionary, and you could be viewed in the same light as a racist, misogynist, or homophobe. Fear, guilt, and shame are the stocks in trade of the dog advocates. We are now at the stage that even well-educated pit bull advocates in responsible and influential positions are linking fear of pit bulls with racism and the Holocaust. In the 1970s, there was an odious organization in the UK called the Pedophile Information Exchange that hijacked the gay liberation movement and presented themselves as a persecuted minority deserving of the same rights as homosexuals. They claimed the right to follow their sexual preference in the same way as homosexuals. Many woolly-minded liberals fell for this shit and supported them. Some members of parliament did as well. Dog worshippers have pulled the same deception, and society has fallen for it, hook, line, and sinker. Openly criticizing dogs seems to carry similar opprobrium to screaming racial abuse in a mosque. When people say it's the owner, not the dog, it reminds me of a sociological theory in criminology that gained prominence in the 1960s and 70s. It is called New Deviancy Theory. New Deviancy Theory suggests that deviant behavior is only deviant because it is defined as such by the powerful ruling classes. Crime is a reaction to social values and norms, and is not a product of the individual. When someone commits a crime or engages in deviant behavior, they are subsequently labeled by society as a thief, a liar, or a drug addict, and their identity is altered because of this label. This is called labeling theory. It was very influential and persuasive at the time. Criminal behavior is a reaction to the strains imposed by society. A dog attack is a reaction to the strains imposed by a bad owner. Being labeled a criminal imposes false perceptions about your character and prevents objective perception. Being labeled a dangerous breed imposes false perceptions about the character of that breed and prevents objective perception. You see this type of thinking all the time with pit bull advocates. They tell you not to make judgments or assumptions. They tell you to, quote, blame the deed, not the breed. And then, when the deed happens, they tell you that it's the owner, not the dog. A nice spot of double bind. What I think is happening is that influencers deliberately and cynically use new deviancy theory and labeling because it makes them a profit. And then idiots repeat this stuff without thinking. When I think about the trends towards social inclusion and equality, a lot of dog worship behavior starts to make more sense. These goals are morally admirable and are what any society should be aspiring to. Because dog worshippers actually believe that these principles and privileges belong to their dogs, they feel as angered as you or I would at homophobic or misogynist or racist comments. If they were logically consistent instead of being horribly misguided, They should be applying animal liberation politics to all animals. Human rights are not applicable to dogs, but animal welfare rights are applicable to all animals. Of course, this would mean no more pets and no more leather leashes to restrain their slave animal. Dogs, or any other animal for that matter, cannot be informed of their rights. They cannot understand rights. They cannot accept the responsibilities that accompany human rights, nor can they be expected to understand or accept the consequences of rule breaking. In short, it is a silly idea, but it is pervasive, persuasive, and corrosive. I think people are jumping on this dog advocacy bandwagon because it is fashionable. It is the thing to do. Everyone's on the bandwagon, so they just get on it too, and they think it will make them a good person to do so. Especially pit bull advocates believe that rooting for the underdog makes them a good person. Everyone wants to feel virtuous and righteous, and so they do what they believe is the right thing to do. But these people are not stopping to think about what they're doing. They're not arriving at this position through any logical means. If you stop to think about it, you realize that being pro-dog is being anti-human, anti-environment, and anti-animal. And I explain this in detail in my videos. If you want to be a good person, really, then think for yourself. Practice your critical thinking skills and realize all of the ways in which dogs are harmful to human society. Dog worship is extremely destructive. And this is becoming apparent as channels like I Hate Dogs and mine grow. Future generations will look back in disbelief at dog worship. They will wonder how on earth did people not see how crazy these dog worshipers are. We will look back upon dog worshipers the same way we look back upon the pro-pedophile group I talked about in the 60s and 70s. We will not understand how did they exist openly. It's crazy. Extremely crazy, beyond sick and crazy. And one day, it will become apparent. I would like to end this video by thanking you all very much for your comments. Your contributions to my channel are so appreciated. I've said before that your comments are better than my content, and I just want you to know how much I value your contributions. For example, Kitten left this comment on my video about how children are not allowed to be children. And I just wanted to draw your attention to this because it is just so true. She writes that children better respect dogs' boundaries, but dogs can jump on people, lick them, sniff them, lunge at them, growl at them, bark at them, bite them, take their food, and even kill them if they want to. And we have to take it. We have to just accept this. If we so much as object to it, verbally, we just say we don't like this, we are branded heartless monsters. If we take it a step further and push the dog away, we are called animal abusers. Absolute insanity right before our eyes. Wake up, people. It's time to recognize how deranged dog worshippers are. The future is dog-free.